I've already told you at the family banquet before, Levi nodded. I am the god of war. There you go again. Zoe dismissed his words and rolled her eyes. You and your blabber. She did not believe his confession, and thought that he was just trying to brag around. All right, Levi said with a helpless shrug, I have nothing to do with them. But then how did you get Azure Dragon to show up with just a phone call? She asked, puzzled, not to mention he even brought an entire regiment with him. It was all a coincidence. When I was here last night and found out that Azure Dragon was staying in the same vicinity, I was sure that the god of war must be nearby as well. Levi made up an explanation. I know Ashton is bringing his men to the villa today, so I tipped off the authorities in advance. I told them that somebody is trying to harm the god of war. That's why they sent over an entire regiment to protect him. He could only put up a lie to appease her. That makes perfect sense to me now. Zoe found his explanation plausible. I recalled Azure Dragon said the god of war lives around here, which explains why he's on high alert when Ashton and his men came to the villa. Do you want to take any of the stuff home with you? There's no way I'm going to stay here. Levi said with an air of disgust. No, let's leave them here. Zoe shook her head. It would only cause Mum and Dad to get curious if they see us moving our stuff home. At Rivervale Mansion, Northampton. It was one of the most luxurious mansions in Northampton. The place was the family mansion of the Garrisons, who had just listed their company shares on the stock exchange. It had yet struck 9 o'clock in the morning and it was still early for the Garrisons to leave for work. Most of them were still in the house when they carried Ashton into the mansion. Soon, every member of the Garrison family knew something terrible had happened to Ashton, and they immediately sent him to the hospital. Joseph, Jacob, Ben, and everybody else rushed to the hospital. How's Ashton doing? Joseph asked. I'm sorry, Mr. Garrison, the doctor sighed after he had examined Ashton's condition. I'm afraid Ashton is not showing any response. He's now in a vegetative state. What do you mean he's in a vegetative state? Jacob could not believe his ears. You mean my son has become a vegetable? Ashton suffered from an extremely severe impact that turned him into a vegetable, the doctor explained. Who was the one who sent Ashton back to the mansion? Asked Joseph, who had slipped into a dark look. They were two guys we've not seen before, Dad. Ben lowered his voice. They left as soon as they sent Ashton back to our house. But they did leave a message. What's their message? Spit it out now. The aura from Joseph was one of pure oppression. They said that this is the first present sent by Levi. Ben promptly spilled out the words. What? You mean this is a present from Levi? So it was Levi who's behind all this. I'm going to skin you alive, Levi. Jacob flew into such a rage that he almost flipped the table. Tell me, where is Levi now? I'm going to bash his brains in and squash him like the disgusting roach that he is. Jacob was cursing and swearing like a madman, using violence and malice. Hold on, Jacob. Joseph mused over the message from Levi. Levi said that this is just his first present, so we should expect for his second and third present to come in no time. Looks like Levi has just turned the tables on us. He's letting us know that he's now the one calling the shots instead. Joseph placed his hands behind his back and gave a brittle laugh. I've asked Brian to find out what actually happened, Dad. Ben informed Joseph. I'm sure he will update us soon. Soon after, they saw Brian come running towards them, panting for air. I've found out what happened, Grandpa, Dad, Jacob. Brian rasped. Ashton and Levi had gotten into a brawl because of Royal Villa, which left Ashton being beaten up by Levi. How could this be possible? Joseph bemoaned. Didn't Ashton used to hang around with Trey, that triad leader. How could Levi have beaten the both of them and turned Ashton into a vegetable?